You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
Now, a word about our sponsor, the Johns Hopkins University Information Security Institute. The JHU-ISI is home to world-class interdisciplinary experts dedicated to developing technologies to protect the world's vast online systems and infrastructure, and working closely with U.S. government research agencies and industry partners. The institute offers dual degree and joint programs in computer science and health informatics, and has been designated as a center of academic excellence in cyber research. Learn more at isi.jhu.edu. A major cybercrime crackdown by Interpol nabs hundreds of suspects and millions in stolen funds. Zabbix has disclosed a critical SQL injection vulnerability. A novel phishing campaign exploits Microsoft Word's file recovery feature. Researchers track the Rockstar 2FA phishing toolkit. Critical vulnerabilities are found in Advantech's industrial wireless access points. North Korea's Kimsuki hacking group shifts their tactics. The UN forms an advisory body to address growing threats to critical undersea cable infrastructure. The UK is laser-focused on AI security research. Russian authorities arrest the Wazawaka ransomware affiliate. Our guest is Marshall Heilman, CEO of D-Tech Systems, sharing his experience with a nation-state actor's attempt to gain employment at his company. And OpenAI opens the door for encrudification. It's Monday, December 2nd, 2024. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your CyberWire Intel Briefing. Good day and happy Monday to you all. If you are here in the U.S., I hope you had a relaxing Thanksgiving break. It's good to be back. An international cybercrime crackdown led by Interpol targeted cyber-enabled fraud across 40 countries between July and November of this year. Operation Heike 5 resulted in over 5,500 arrests and the seizure of $400 million in stolen funds, encompassing virtual assets and government-backed currencies. It focused on crimes such as voice phishing, romance scams, online sextortion, investment fraud, illegal gambling, business email compromise, and e-commerce fraud. A notable achievement occurred in East Asia, where South Korean and Chinese authorities dismantled a voice phishing network linked to $1.1 billion in losses. The scammers, impersonating police, victimized over 1,900 individuals, leading to 27 arrests. In another high-profile case, Singaporean police intercepted $39.3 million of a $42.3 million sum stolen through business email compromise. 7 suspects were apprehended and $2.6 million in additional funds recovered. Key to these successes was Interpol's Global Rapid Intervention of Payments initiative, enabling swift action to halt stolen funds in transit. This operation, supported by the South Korean government, is the 5th in the Heike series, achieving record results compared to the previous operation, including nearly double the number of solved cases and tripling the blocked virtual asset accounts. Interpol's Secretary General emphasized the importance of international cooperation in combating the borderless threat of cybercrime, highlighting the devastating impacts on individuals and businesses alike. Open-source enterprise network monitoring solution Zabbix has disclosed a critical SQL injection vulnerability. Exploitable by non-admin users with API access, it allows attackers to escalate privileges and compromise systems. Over 83,000 internet-exposed servers are at risk. Patches were released in July, and users should update immediately. No active exploitation has been reported. A novel phishing campaign exploits Microsoft Word's file recovery feature by using intentionally corrupted Word documents to bypass email security software. These attachments, disguised as HR or payroll-related files, evade detection due to their damaged state, but remain recoverable by Word. Once opened, the document prompts users to recover the file, displaying a phishing message instructing them to scan a QR code, which redirects to a fake Microsoft login page to steal credentials. The campaign, identified by AnyRun, embeds base64 encoded strings and file names to obfuscate intent. The attachments lack malicious code, helping them avoid antivirus detection on platforms like VirusTotal. Recipients are urged to remain vigilant, delete suspicious emails, and confirm unexpected messages with administrators to avoid falling victim to this tactic. Researchers from TrustWave have linked the advanced phishing toolkit Rockstar 2FA to a rise in adversary-in-the-middle phishing attacks targeting Microsoft 365 users. This toolkit creates fake login pages to harvest credentials and bypass multi-factor authentication, using adversary-in-the-middle techniques to intercept session cookies. Campaigns have escalated since August of this year, leveraging car-themed web pages and domains with over 5,000 hits since May. Rockstar 2FA, a phishing kit offered as a service for $200, features 2FA bypass, anti-bot protections, randomized codes, and Telegram bot integration, making it attractive to cybercriminals. Phishing emails use themes like HR alerts, document sharing, and MFA lures, often evading detection by exploiting trusted platforms and obfuscation methods. Experts warn these cost-effective kits enable credential theft, account takeovers, and business email compromise. Researchers at N2K Networks labs identified 20 critical vulnerabilities in Advantech's industrial wireless access points, widely used in critical infrastructure. The flaws allow remote code execution with root privileges and denial of service attacks, even without authentication. Vulnerabilities also enable lateral movement across networks and exploit wireless data packet management scripts. Firmware updates have been released to address the issues. South Korean researchers have uncovered a shift in the tactics of the North Korean hacking group Kimsuki, which now employs malware-less phishing attacks to evade endpoint detection and response systems. These attacks focus on researchers and organizations studying North Korea using phishing emails that impersonate entities such as financial institutions and public agencies. A notable change is Kimsuki's switch from Japanese to Russian email services, making their campaigns harder to detect. They also leverage domains from free Korean registration services and fabricate phishing sites using themes tied to financial matters. These phishing attempts often include URLs without malware, making them harder to flag as threats. The United Nations, alongside the International Telecommunication Union and the International Cable Protection Committee, has formed the International Advisory Body for Submarine Cable Resilience to address growing threats to critical undersea cable infrastructure. Submarine cables handle over 99% of global data exchanges, making their security vital. The advisory body will focus on enhancing cable protection, promoting best practices, and ensuring timely repairs. The initiative follows recent incidents, including damage to cables connecting Finland, Germany, Sweden, and Lithuania, under investigation for possible sabotage. The ICPC reports 150 to 200 annual cable damage incidents, mainly from ship anchors, fishing, or natural disasters, necessitating weekly repairs. The 40-member body, co-chaired by Nigeria and Portugal, will meet twice annually, working with industry experts. The U.S. has also launched projects to bolster cable security, including partnerships with Pacific Island nations. The U.K. has launched the Laboratory for AI Security Research, LASER, or maybe I should say laboratory, to combat nation-state cyber threats, particularly from adversaries like Russia. Initially funded with $10.3 million from the government, the lab expects additional support from private sector partners. LASER aims to harness artificial intelligence to bolster cybersecurity and intelligence capabilities, collaborating with organizations like GCHQ, the Alan Turing Institute, and top universities such as Oxford and Queen's University Belfast. The lab also seeks international partnerships, including with NATO and Five Eyes allies. Chancellor Pat McFadden highlighted AI's dual role in amplifying cyber threats and enabling advanced defense tools. LASER's creation reflects the UK's commitment to addressing emerging AI-driven cyber challenges as part of a broader global strategy. Russian authorities have reportedly arrested Mikhail Matveev, also known as Wazawaka, a high-profile ransomware affiliate linked to groups like Babuk, Conti, DarkSide, Hive, and Lockbit. Matveev faces charges under Russia's Article 273 for creating malware to extort commercial organizations by encrypting data and demanding ransom. If convicted, he could face up to 4 years in prison or fines. Matveev, indicted by the U.S. in 2023 and offered a $10 million bounty by the State Department, allegedly participated in major attacks, including the 2021 ransomware attack on Washington, D.C.'s Metropolitan Police Department. Despite his crimes, he previously claimed to live freely in Russia. Russia rarely prosecutes domestic hackers, especially those targeting foreign entities, but recent arrests, including members of REvil and SugarLocker, suggest a possible shift in strategy. I can't resist putting this out there. Wazawaka? A Russian threat actor? I mean, we've got to go with Fozzie Bear, right?
Waka waka!
Coming up after the break, my conversation with Marshall Heilman from DTEC Systems about his experience with a nation-state actor attempting to gain employment at his company. And OpenAI opens the door for encredification. And now, a word from our sponsor, KnowBe4. It's all connected, and we're not talking conspiracy theories. When it comes to InfoSec tools, effective integrations can make or break your security stack. The same should be true for security awareness training. KnowBe4, provider of the world's largest library of security awareness training, provides a way to integrate your existing security stack tools to help you strengthen your organization's security culture. KnowBe4's Security Coach uses standard APIs to quickly and easily integrate with your existing security products from vendors like Microsoft, CrowdStrike, and Cisco, 35 vendor integrations and counting. Security Coach analyzes your security stack alerts to identify events related to any risky security behavior from your users. Use this information to set up real-time coaching campaigns targeting risky users based on those events from your network, endpoint, identity, or web security vendors. Then coach your users at the moment the risky behavior occurs, with contextual security tips delivered via Microsoft Teams, Slack, or email. Learn more at knowbefore.com/securitycoach. That's knowbefore.com/securitycoach. And we thank KnowBe4 for sponsoring our show. And now, a message from Black Cloak. What's the easiest way for threat actors to bypass your company's cyber defenses? Targeting your executives at home. According to the latest Ponemon research study, over 42% of CISOs have reported cyber attacks on their executives in their personal lives. And this becomes your problem because executives are easy targets at home for account takeover, credential theft, and reputational harm. Close the at-home security gap with Black Cloak's digital executive protection platform, award-winning 24/7 365 protection for executives and their families. Learn more at blackcloak.io. Marshall Heilman is CEO of DTEX Systems. We recently got together to chat about his experience with a nation-state actor's attempt to gain employment at his company.
So there's really three different aspects of this from my perspective. What has gotten a lot of attention recently is the fake North Korean IT worker, right? There's been a bunch of articles that have come out of that. We know that it's affecting a large number of companies, especially high technology companies. And so essentially what is happening with these situations, that there are North Korean workers getting hired into organizations in IT positions where they have significant access into an organization. And then what these IT workers are then able to do is either take data to send back to their home country, or in some cases, they're able to install software that allows other entities from their home country to gain access to their organization to do whatever damages that they want to do. So that's really the first aspect of the fake worker. The second aspect that we see a lot of as well is where in today's remote world or remote environment, we see some employees going and getting hired at multiple companies. And so while they're not necessarily malicious in nature, what they're doing is not spending a lot of time working at the organization that's paying them because they're having to split their time between 3 or 4 jobs. So that's a second category. And the third category that we see are employees who get hired at an organization. Sometimes they'll get hired at 10, 12, 15 organizations, and they outsource their job to somebody else in another country. And what you have then is a worker that now has access into an organization that the organization has no control over. They don't know who that is, and it's not the person that they believe that they hired, and that is obviously malicious in nature. So from my perspective, those are the three main pillars of this particular issue that we see today.
Well, and on top of that, I mean, it's my understanding that you and your colleagues there had a run-in with this sort of thing yourselves?
We did, yes. And interestingly enough, it was right around the same time as the Know Before article that came out that really launched this into mainstream. But yes, we had an individual who applied for a job, and as we're going through the interview process, we spotted some discrepancies, and ultimately there were enough discrepancies that we decided to shut down the interview process and not move forward with the candidate any further. Some of the specifics around there that we saw is, for one, what we noticed is that the email address that the individual used did not match the name that he used in a very, let's say, obvious sort of way. And so it was clear that there's something off there. And that could be a mistake, or it could just be someone has a funny email address. But in this particular case, paired with the other things we saw, it was a red flag for us. A second thing that we saw is this particular individual claimed to have used a technology in a certain year. But one of our interviewers correctly recognized that particular technology had not been released until a couple years afterwards when the person said to use it. So that was obviously fake.
Right.
The employee or this individual claimed to work at an organization and leverage certain technologies that really didn't make sense for the organization he said he was employed at to have used. So that set off another red flag. And then really the final flag that we saw before we decided to terminate the interviews was this particular individual is using a geometric background. And as you know, on these calls, you can always see a little bit what's behind the person as they're moving around. And it was pretty obvious that they were in some type of a call center. They definitely were not sitting at a home office. And so when you put those 4 pieces of information together, what you have is a candidate is probably not who they say they are.
Wow. Do you have any sense for how widespread this actually is?
So I personally don't. I know from talking with all the senior level executives that I speak with, it is an ongoing problem at pretty much every company I talk to. I know Mandy and CrowdStrike have done some reporting talking about just how widespread this problem actually is. I believe in the companies that we've spoken to, we've seen a 73% or so increase in the number of conversations around this particular topic at the organizations that we talk to on a regular basis. So I think it's probably more widespread than initially thought.
Well, what are your recommendations then? I mean, in this world where so many people want to work remotely, how do we enable that, but also manage this potential problem?
Yeah, and that's a great question. Remote work is fantastic. I'm a remote worker myself. And so and so I think finding the way to get this right is really important. So there's a couple obvious things we can do. When it comes to looking at a candidate's resume, as I said, just trying to match their name against their email address, against the phone number they give. Like that, that's a basic thing. When you're doing a background check, make certain that there's no red flags that come back on the background check. When an individual submits his picture, or their picture, I should say, I think it's important to leverage some of the myriad of AI tools out there that exist nowadays to try and detect whether the picture was AI generated or modified or not. Right? Those are some things you can do. When conducting an interview, I think it's really important to always have the camera on so you always see the person that you're talking to, and you can match up who you see against the picture that they're using. It also allows you to see through their background, whether they're sitting in an area that seems to be where they say they are, or whether they're very obviously in a call center. If companies are comfortable with it, they can even ask the individual not to leverage a background so they can see exactly where they are. I think it's important afterwards to look at the IP address that the individual connected from to see if they're on any known watch list. Is it a malicious IP address, or is it an IP address maybe that is in Texas when the person claimed they're in Maine, and that seems like a very unlikely scenario. And it's something you can ask the candidate to explain. And then once you've made a decision to hire the individual, you can do things like when you ship out the computer to the address the person's listed, you want to make sure that the address you're shipping the computer to is the same one that they claim they're actually living at. If there's a discrepancy there, you obviously want to investigate why. You can also have, if you have employees in the area where the individual is located, you can have them go and have a quick coffee or just quick meet up with the individual to make certain that they, the person that you are meeting is actually there locally and not in some other country or some other area. And I think to give even more detail in a very logical fashion, we at DTEX released a blog that we call an Insider Threat Advisory, and we discuss at each different phase of the process. So pre-employment, or interview phase, pre-employment, early stages of employment, later stages of employment, what you can be looking for to make certain that you as a company don't fall victim to this type of malicious activity.
It seems to me like this really requires close coordination between the folks on the HR team and the folks in IT. I mean, perhaps even earlier in this process than it had previously traditionally demanded.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, as you correctly pointed out, in today's world where we allow remote work more than we ever have in the past, I think we have to think about, how we go about recruit and hire and onboard employees differently than we have in the past. And that does mean close collaboration between HR and IT to make certain that the companies are hiring the people that they believe they're hiring into the organization, and that those employees are as productive as they expect and need them to be.
That's Marshall Heilman from DTEX Systems. You can read more about this incident in a blog post from DTEX. We'll have a link in the show notes. Do you know the status of your compliance controls right now? Like, right now. We know that real-time visibility is critical for security, but when it comes to our GRC programs, we rely on point-in-time checks. But get this. More than 8,000 companies like Atlassian and Quora have continuous visibility into their controls with Vanta. Here's the gist. Vanta brings automation to evidence collection across 30 frameworks, like SOC 2 and ISO 27001. They also centralize key workflows like policies, access reviews, and reporting, and helps you get security questionnaires done 5 times faster with AI. Now that's a new way to GRC. Get $1,000 off Vanta when you go to vanta.com/cyber. That's vanta.com/cyber for $1,000 off. And finally, it was bound to happen. OpenAI, the company that wowed us all with ChatGPT, is considering, wait for it, advertising. Yes, folks, the tech darling that made us believe in the magic of AI might just join the dark side of internet monetization, trading user delight for ad revenue. The Financial Times reports that OpenAI's CFO, Sarah Frier, confirmed the company is exploring ads as a potential revenue stream. While she insists there are no active plans yet, the writing on the wall is as clear as a programmatic banner ad. They're hiring ad veterans from Google and Meta, and their chief product officer is Instagram's former ad architect. Fryer assures us they'll be thoughtful about ads, but isn't that what they all say? This isn't just a cash grab, it's a necessity. OpenAI may be pulling in $4 billion annually, but training cutting-edge AI models is an expensive endeavor. They're burning through cash faster than you can say monetization strategy, and with a $5 billion spend forecast, even their enviable $150 billion valuation needs some heavy lifting. To be fair, ads work wonders for companies like Google, but let's be real. Nothing ruins a seamless AI chat like a pop-up screaming about discount mattresses. OpenAI claims it'll be careful not to alienate its 250 million weekly users. Let's hope so, because once the ad floodgates open, there's no going back. After all, when has thoughtful advertising ever lived up to the promise? And that's the CyberWire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. Don't forget to check out the Grumpy Old Geeks podcast, where I contribute to a regular segment on Jason and Brian's show every week. You can find Grumpy Old Geeks where all the fine podcasts are listed. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. We're privileged that N2K CyberWire is part of the daily routine of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. N2K makes it easy for companies to optimize your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your teams while making your teams smarter. Learn how at n2k.com. This episode was produced by Liz Stokes. Our mixer is Trey Hester, with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Our executive editor is Brandon Karp. Simone Petrella is our president. Peter Kilpie is our publisher. And I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Hey everybody, Dave here. I want to talk about our sponsor, LegalZoom. You know, I started my first business back in the early 90s, and oh, what I would have done to have been able to have the services of an organization like LegalZoom back then. Just getting all of those business ducks in a row, all of that technical stuff, the legal stuff, the registrations of the business, the taxes, all of those things that you need to go through when you're starting a business, the hard stuff, the stuff that sucks up your time when you just want to get that business launched and out there. Well, LegalZoom has everything you need to launch, run, and protect your business all in one place. And they save you from wasting hours making sense of all that legal stuff. Launch, run, and protect your business to make it official today at LegalZoom.com. You can use promo code CYBER10 to get 10% off any LegalZoom business information product, excluding subscriptions and renewals. That expires at the end of this year. Get everything you need from setup to success at LegalZoom.com and use promo code CYBER10. That's LegalZoom.com and promo code CYBER10. LegalZoom provides access to independent attorneys and self-service tools. LegalZoom is not a law firm and does not provide legal advice except where authorized through its subsidiary law firm, LZ Legal Services, LLC.